Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Generalist YouTube channel. Today, we are going to do a mock draft here with the NBA specialist, my boy Roy, right here. And yeah, let's just get straight into it. We had a little technical mishap before, so I think we just get straight into it. The Pacers #1 on the board. I'll leave it up to you.
So with the Pacers pick, I've actually gone with Darren Peterson. Now, Darren Peterson, I think, is the best guard prospect in recent memory. I think certainly since and I think he's a better prospect than Anthony Edwards. I think he's got a bit more shot making ability, especially when you compare them coming out of college. And so my comps for Darren Peterson, high end, I think it's going to be Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker is a really good stylistic comp if you want to sort of get yourself tuned into Darren Peterson, how he plays the game. And my low end comp is actually Wizards Bradley Beal, which I know he's a bit of a meme now, but um, I promise you, Wizards Bradley Beal was really quite a good
He was a
player.
bucket.
There's a reason why he was given the no trade clause.
hmm I completely agree. I think with this team, I think he fits probably the most perfect out of any of the teams in the top. I think he's not asked to do too much, which is one of my big things, is not having him come out and sorry, not having him come out and expected to average 26 points a night out of the gate. I think off ball he's one of the best players in this draft, if not probably the best player in this draft. I think he's easily the first overall pick. I know in my last mock draft I had Cam Boozer, um, but I think you can go with any three of these guys. But I think off ball next to Halliburton in a system that's already ingrained in a team, all he has to do is just fit in the system. I remember I posted a TikTok where I had kind of just a little thought where I understand Ben Mathurin and Darren Peterson are two very different prospects. I think Mathurin's more an on-ball scorer. I think Peterson is better on-ball scorer, but I think he's incredibly clear. And I kind of said that I don't want Mathurin. I don't want Peterson if he goes to the Pacers to turn into a Mathurin where he can't buy in. But I think that's just like it was just a thought. I think he fits this team to a glove. He's got great defensive instincts, great off-ball shooter. I think this is the easiest pick, and I think the Pacers will be like parading.
Right.
So with the second overall pick, the Sacramento Kings select. I know there's a bit of a discourse. I have them taking Cameron Boozer. I think the most stable pick the Kings have. I don't want the Kings. The Kings are at the start of their rebuild now. Finally, thank the Lord. Where I think they need a solid foundation to build off of. I think with Peterson and Dibansa, there's more of a swing you're taking compared to a Boozer. I think Boozer's game is going to translate very seamlessly to the next level. Good screener, good enough shooter to spread the floor at 6'9". He's going to be super young. I think he's still 18 when he gets drafted. So probably when he plays his first game, he just turns 19. Um, good, great defensive, I would say. Very switchable. I think probably one of the better interior scorers of this draft. I think they just need stability. You have this notion where he's the highest floor, lowest ceiling. I don't really believe. I think he also has one of the highest ceilings, and I think he could easily be. I think he's shooting 62% from the field while averaging 22 points, and then shooting 40% from three. I understand that that's probably a very low volume, but just you go stability, you get a guy you can build the next 10 to 12 to 15 years off of.
Yeah, so I'm probably not as high on Cam Boozer's defense as you are. But what I will say is he is a really good help defender. He will generate a ton of steals, just like your likes of Luka, that kind of big body kind of player. When he's locked in, he'll therefore generate a lot of steals. I actually comped him to Kevin Love for his outlet passing, his playmaking, and Al Horford for his ability to sort of hit spot up threes out of nowhere, but also attack the smaller defender. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things you highlighted there with his passing, if you watch a game of Duke, he gets doubled quite frequently, and he's making good reads out of these doubles, which I think is a very important skill if you have the maturity with two people in your face to make a good read out of the pass. I think the best way to describe him is, even though he's young, his game is very mature, and I think the Kings would just they just need something that is, you know what you're getting, you know it's going to be good, you're happy. You know what I mean?
Yep, defo. With the Kings, you just need a safe pick, man. Your
Absolutely,
organization who's not known for winning. You just need the the safest thing you can get, the safest bet that
absolutely,
you can make in this draft is Cameron Boozer.
absolutely. So on the clock with the third overall pick, the Washington Wizards select. I'll leave it up to you.
Well, there's only one guy left. It's AJ DeBansa. Now, the last guy of this big three doesn't necessarily think that I think he's the worst player among them, but I do think that he's probably not as scalable as the other two, where the other two, you can plug and play them into different lineups because you know that they're going to contribute immediately. And for the case of Peterson, he's able to play off ball. I'm not really convinced on Boozer being able to play off ball at this minute. His spot up three numbers are good though, so I'll give him that. Uh, so yeah, with Debansa, I comp him to Tracy McGrady as my high-end comp and RJ Barrett as my low-end comp. So there's really a style of play over there. You can see someone that's really um reliant on the mid-range. Yeah, the mid-range is probably the best part of his game, and maybe not as strong of a playmaker, and maybe has his defensive lapses, but that's kind of to be expected with the offensive load that he's carrying. I do think his role probably has to scale down at the next level, but we'll see in due course. With the Wizards, I think you're able to now that they've got Trey in, he probably doesn't have to play make as much as he would have if he joined the Wizards a year back. I think right now all he has to do is just focus on scoring. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then with the defense, I think you have the likes of Alex Sarr, you have the likes of AD if he's healthy. Um, yeah, I think it's a really, really seamless fit.
yeah. I like this kind of. I know I'll preach this till I die. It's just when you get a rookie in a good situation, I think it might not be eye popping to the stats, but I think developmental wise, I think it's really important that you can simplify the game for a rookie super young, where he doesn't have to, like Cooper Flag this year has had to have different things thrown at him. He's been put at point guard. You know, he's had to have guys next to him. Who fits next to him? Which point guard's going to get me the ball? How do I want the ball? That type of thing. I think getting put in a situation is incredibly important to a rookie's development. And I think AJ DeBansa, he's the leading scorer on this BYU team. He's having to basically carry them. So I understand defensive lapses. I think he's probably more engaged defensively at the next level. I might have to, I might put my hat on that, but I think it's just the easiest pick you can make if you're Washington. He fits the system, or he fits maybe the future lineup that you're thinking of going about. And I don't think there's anything more to say. I love it. So with the fourth pick, the Brooklyn Nets, it's my pick now. So I am gonna take, again, I think with all this talk about a big three, I think in reality it's a big four. Maybe it's like a big 3+1-ish, but I think it's Caleb Wilson here. You took 1,400 guards last draft plus Danny Wolf. I think you get just probably the best defensive player in this draft. He's got easily the highest motor in this draft. He will block a shot at one end, sprint the floor down to the other end, and then sprint the floor back, and you're like, what is going on? I think there is a shot there. I think it's going to take a bit of time, but I think Diego Demon wasn't someone who you'd think was that impressive of a shooter, but I think they've shown that they could develop a shot in him. I don't think his jump shot is bad. I think there's definitely like good mechanics. He can make these contested mid-ranges. I think he'll begin with a mid-range shot, and I think they'll eventually want to move him further out. But if you're the Nets, you're like, this is probably the best player you could land in terms of your team, because maybe not the best player, but in the best fit you could land on your team, because you have your guards set. Now that wouldn't stop you from taking a Peterson or a Delvancer, but you have basically your offense set. So you go get the best defensive playmaker, the best defender, the best defensive playmaker in the draft. Your team suddenly next season you look at that team, you're like, wow, that's quite exciting. You've got, Traore, Demon, MPJ, if he's still there, Wilson, and Claxton. That's a tall lineup. That's like 6'4", 6'8", 6'11", 6'10", 6'11", and they're all very versatile and kind of positionless players. Caleb Wilson's switchable. He's shown that he can guards, and he's just physical. Like on defense, he's just like physical. Like he's not afraid of anything. And I think it's the easiest pick if you're the Nets. You say thank you, and everyone's clapping and everyone's happy.
Yeah, with the Nets, I think with the big three off the board, I think it's a really, really straightforward pick over here. I've comped him to Giannis if everything goes right. But I think more realistically, we can probably expect him to be some sort of Pascal Siakam variant. I think he's probably going to develop a better jump shot. I think his motor is high, so I think I have him slightly above his ceiling, slightly above the likes of Siakam. And yeah, I think his motor, like I say, is insane. You can be good defensively, but if you're not engaged, then what's the point, right? But
Absolutely.
this guy just gives 100% every single play, and I'm really really I really really love this fit. I think if you run through the lineups now, they kind of just stuck Noah Clowney at the four. So yeah, if you just plug Caleb Wilson in his place, then you have a really nice starting five, right? You have the likes of uh Demon running point, and then you have uh Traore together with him. Then you have MPJ at the three, and then your five is Claxton. So just that one gaping hole at the four, and then Caleb Wilson comes in, fits in perfectly. Demon and Traore are going to create a hell lot of shots for him, and then at the five you have Claxton, whom he will be just such a great defender together with, right? Um, yeah, I just can't see how this fails. Yeah, I think the
I think
Nets, if they
also,
do get Caleb Wilson, they'll probably be a lot. They'll definitely be uh, a play-in team at the least next season.
you could even run like a Clowney Wilson lineup, if you want to put Claxton to the bench, like a Caleb Wilson, Noah Clowney lineup, you move Caleb Wilson to the 5, Clowney comes in, you can like really go 5 out and spread the floor. Yeah, I love it. I will hand the 5th pick, the Utah Jazz. I think it's the most interesting pick in this draft. I'll hand it over to you.
Right. So with the fifth pick, we have the Utah Jazz, and I think with the Jazz, I think um what they need right now is to sort out their current roster because they actually have a really expensive roster heading into next season because they will have to extend Walker Kessler, who as a Laker fan has been a dream trade target of mine, but let's just say he sticks with the Jazz in this scenario. So we have Kessler they need to extend, they have Keontae George they need to extend, and they already have Laurie Markkinen and Jaren Jackson Jr. on the books. Now, Triple J, he'll probably just stay, right? And so will Lowry, and there's just so much intrigue heading into next season. But let's say they retain all, I think Ace Bailey is probably going to have a bigger role, but maybe more of a, a sixth man kind of role. And so you do have that gap over there, in the other guard spot beside Keontae. Now I know Keontae has taken on more ball handling responsibilities this season. Keontae is really not a good defender, but a really good scorer. He's a score first kind of guard, so you want a pass first kind of guard beside him. Um, and then over here, the guy that plays beside him has to be a good defender. Has to be a plus defender, and out of the point guards that we have over here, Wagler, um, Acuff, Michael Brown, all of them are they get shit on for their defense. Let's put it that way. But Kingston Fleming's neutral defender at worst, a plus defender at best. I think if you scale down his role from his current Houston usage and you place him on the Jazz, where he takes on a bit more playmaking, but less scoring kind of load, and then you scale up his defensive load, I think that fits just perfectly, right? Another ball handler beside Keontae, um, who can now scoot over and play off ball. So yeah, if you run that lineup again, hypothetically, you're gonna have Kingston at the 1, you're gonna have Keontae at the 2, you're gonna have Lowry in the 3, you're gonna have uh JJJ at the 4, and you're gonna have Kessler at the 5. I mean, that's just,
Yeah,
I mean, it's probably better than the Nets lineup, right?
yeah,
That's probably a top 5 team in Western Conference next season if they can
yeah,
sort out the bench.
yeah. I think one of you know the best part about Fleming's game is his playmaking, and I think with a guy like Keontae George who's going to be on the ball so much, having a secondary playmaker who's also, like you said, he at worst he's a neutral defender, right? So, and also at worst, you even if you aren't a good defender, you still got Jaren Jackson Jr. and Walker Kessler, who one of them's going to be protecting the rim and one of them's going to be a weak side defender. It might not be either one, but someone's coming over who's 7 foot tall. So I think having a secondary playmaker next to Keontae George lets him have a little bit of pressure off where he doesn't have to initiate an offense. I think he probably starts on the bench. I think they love Ace Bailey, and I love Ace Bailey too. So I think they want to start Ace Bailey next to Keontae, but I can see a world where Ace Bailey's moved down and Kingston Flemings has moved in, and I think he's not a high volume 3-point shooter, which is okay. I think he takes about literally 3 a game, and he shoots about 37%, 38%. So he can shoot, which is good next to a guy like Keontae George who needs space. He's going to be a neutral defender. He is going to be a secondary playmaker, so you can run plays through him, which they've been doing at Houston. He's a super high usage guy at Houston. So you know that if he has the ball in his hands and he's got 3 of these huge options for screeners and rollers in Kessler, Triple J, and Lowry, or even pick and pops with Triple J and Markkanen, and even Kessler, who can shoot tinsy wincy bit. I think it's a seamless pick. Kingston Fleming to the Utah Jazz.
Right. So, yeah, I think the Jazz just again they really just need a talent surrounding them, and I think with the fit as well, I think it's it's just a perfect kind of situation for Kingston Flemings.
Absolutely. So we have the Atlanta Hawks here, who, with the sixth pick, I think they could take a couple of guys here. For me, it's between two. It's between Michael Brown Jr. and Keaton Wagler. Now, the thought to me that differentiates the two is the playmaking. I don't think Keaton Wagler is as bad of a playmaker. I just don't think he's as good as Michael Brown. And when I'm in a situation where I have a guy like Jalen Johnson who can handle the ball, who's probably going to have the ball in his hands the most, you want to pair him with a guy who can take some of that load off him while also getting him the ball in his spots. Michael Brown Jr. is arguably one of the fastest players in this draft, next to Kingston Flemings and an Acuff and some other guys I'm missing further down. He's a great shooter. He has had like some shooting games where he's 9 for 13 or something, and then he has games where he's 1 for 8, and it's like, okay. But he's definitely one of the top shooters in this draft. I think the more I think about it, the more I kind of convince myself he's a great passer. He makes really good reads. And I think you pair him in a backcourt with Dyson Daniels. There's like Dyson Daniels can cover maybe some defensive concerns. I think there is some, but you're looking at him to be an initiator, not a POA guy. So you put him in a backcourt with Dyson Daniels, who can't shoot. You get one of the best shooters in the draft who can also play make for all the rest of the guys in the starting five. I think for me, this is a seamless fit. And I know some people don't have him this high. I think I'm much higher than him than most. But I'm going to take Michael Brown Jr. 6 to the Hawks.
Yeah, I think with Michael Brown Jr., I think I've actually comped him to Darius Garland. I think the shiftiness and the interior passing really stand out to me. And I think Michael Brown Jr. Really good fit on Atlanta as well. So if you have Michael, if we just run through the lineup really quickly, we have Michael at the one, we have Dyson Daniels at the two, we've got um Jalen Johnson at the three, and we have at the four Okongu, maybe
Okongwu,
Okongu, and then at the
or
five.
it's kind of up for debate whether I don't think they have a true 4 set in, unless
Would you continue trusting Risache? Because if you continue trusting Risache, then probably him or Azanuo. Yeah, Azanuo. I was high on him coming into this draft. The last draft actually.
for the sake of this,
So
let's
yeah,
say Risa Shea and Jalen Johnson are the two
yeah.
going
And
into
then
next
and
season.
then at the five, you've got Kongu.
Okongwu, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
that's a really
I
nice
think
lineup.
that's a really nice lineup. Yeah.
All right, Dallas Mavericks. I hand it over to you again with the 7th overall pick, the Dallas Mavericks.
So the Dallas Mavericks are a really interesting case. I've actually thought about it. Um, I've actually done a little bit of thinking over it. And the thing is, Cooper Flag, he's had such a historic rookie season. He's breaking all sorts of records. And so my mind just kind of drifted over to, okay, if Cooper is going to be this good, and his play style resembles that of LeBron's, which is a jumbo playmaker kind of build, then who would be the best Kyrie Irving fit beside him? Now it actually came down to two different guys. Um, Actually, it was three. It was Acuff, it was Michael Brown, and it was Keaton Wagler. Now, I had to eventually eliminate Acuff. I think the defensive concerns are really, really something that you cannot ignore, especially in the playoffs. And you probably will be crazy to take Michael Brown or uh Keaton Wagler over either. And eventually, I went with Michael Brown because I think he's a better ball handler than Wagner. Having said that, I do think Wagner, because he's the other one on the board right now, I would take him in a heartbeat. I think his shooting paired alongside Coop's driving means, yeah, imagine Keaton Wagner just attacking closeouts because that's what Cooper is going to do for your team, right? Uh, Wagner just brings the ball up the court, and then you let Cooper run his sets, and then Wagner just relocates and uh yeah, he uses his spot shooting or creating off the closeout. I think that is a perfect fit for the Dallas Mavericks.
I agree. I think it's fair to say with Wagler that there people have found a lot of, like athletic concerns and like at creating for himself self-creation concerns, maybe even like frame and how big he is, how thin he is. I think those are all kind of overblown. I understand that's comes with the job of evaluating talent, is you have to nitpick to find who's who. um I think he's probably top three best shooters in this draft very easily. I think there's a reason he's flown all the way up. Um, I think as a secondary or tertiary creator, next to a guy like Cooper Flag, where the game he's just got to let the game come to him, because Cooper Flag is gonna, like you said, he's a jumbo playmaker. He knows how to make these reads. You've just got to give what Cooper Flag, not Cooper Flag just himself, but give what the defense is giving you. And I think Keaton Wagler can. He's gonna burn you from three. He's a great 3-point shooter. He's good at attacking closeouts, like you said. So I think this is the perfect guy to have next to a Cooper Flag, where he's still dynamic enough. I don't think there are any major defensive concerns. I think the Mavericks like to play a defensive oriented style of basketball regardless. So you get a guy who can spread the floor, be dynamic next to Cooper Flag. And yeah, I love the pick.
Now, I forgot to run through my comp just
Yeah,
now. My comp,
absolutely.
the high-end comp actually is Harry. It's Harry Halliburton. But more realistically, I actually see him panning out to be an Austin Reeves kind of player. And I don't say this lightly because Reeves is my favorite player in the NBA. But I think Wagner's ability to scale up or scale down, I think it's going to be really, really crucial at the next level. His PNR poise, his playmaking, his shot creation, his shot making, it just reminds me of Austin, man.
Yeah, no, I actually really like that comp. Yeah, I think that's as good of a pick as you can get if you're the Mavericks. I think you're very, very happy. I think he's going to be. I think I really, actually, really, really love that fit next to Flag. So, with the eighth pick in the 2026 draft, the Memphis Grizzlies are up. Now, I think this is a very weird stage of the draft now. You can go higher, like some people are way higher than Braden Burries than I am. You could go Braden Burries here. You could. So I've seen some people's big boards, they have Christian Anderson in the top 10. I think if you're the Grizzlies, you try to trade Ja Morant this trade deadline. You couldn't get him off, but the indication that you are willing to trade him means you are in the market for a point guard. And I don't think Scottie Pippen Jr. or Cam Spencer stop you from taking a Darius Cuff Jr. here, who is surprisingly I actually didn't really. He's one of the best players in the country right now. I think he's one of the best playmakers in this draft, if not the best playmaker in this draft. Um, Great at attacking the rim. And what was originally my concern is the 3-point shooting. Um, Defensively, he's small. It's probably not going to translate too well. Then again, he's your point guard. All you want is engagement, and hopefully he's an actual 6'3", and they've not just inflated that up, because I think around draft combine time he could be a 6'1" to 6'2". But he's taking like 7 threes a game and he's shooting 42%. And I think he's also, thinking back to the point guards, I think he's probably the most athletic one. And I think him and Kinston Flemings, out of the two kind of point guards out of the top three, are just walking paint touches. And I think that's an important skill if you're a point guard in the league, is if you're able to attack the paint. Understand that it's probably easier in college than it is in the NBA. If you're able to attack the paint and you're able to make reads out of the paint, which I think Akuf's probably one of his best skills is, I think that's a very translatable skill. And you have this kind of fun, young, athletic core in Memphis that like I reckon it gets me really excited thinking about like a Darius Akuf, Cedric Coward, Jalen Wells, Gigi Jackson. Those are 4 athletic, fun, exciting players. And you pair that with a Zach Edey who's been injured. That's a nice starting 5. I don't think that's a potential play-in starting 5. I think they're going to need a couple years. But I really, really, really like that. And I think you take the best guard available here, especially if you know you want to move on from Ja, and you probably are going to move on from Ja.
Right. So I've actually you've took the words out of my mouth, really and truly. Uh, I just want to run through my comp pretty quickly. I've also got um Acuff going to the Grizzlies, and I comped him to Trae Young is actually my high end comp for him. Trae Young, I think he probably is a bit more athletically better, but I think that Trae is probably a better floor general. Um, and my low end comp for him was Anthony Simons.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Just a microwave scorer, bench unit kind of leader. Yeah.
That's not a bad guy for your bottom end to be. So, all right. I actually am very interested to see what you do with this next pick, because I think this is, again, one of the more interesting positions in the draft for a team entering a rebuild. The 9th pick of the Chicago Bulls. I'll give it away to you.
All right, with the Bulls, I have them drafting Jaden Quaintance. I think he fits uh the idea of kind of as what he wants to do, and uh he's able to um switch a lot and defend at high level, and then you have Josh Giddey just running plays for him, right? So he just needs to finish plays coming in, doesn't need to do too much with the ball. Yeah, and then Matas Buzelis just went off for 41 points today. So I think um those two, he can just play off those two. Um, and yeah, that's a really fun young core to play with. My comps for him are Robert Williams as my high-end comp. Hopefully he can stay less injury free, and also Iguodaro as my low-end comp for him. Yeah, so I think going in, uh I think um yeah, going through the lineup, right? You have Giddy at the one. You probably have to find a new two, but Colin Sexton has been playing quite well in Chicago, so maybe they extend him. Um, then you have Matters at the three. Hopefully Noah Senke pans out at the four. And at the five, you have Jalen Quentin's a really fun young core.
Yeah, I think the Bulls were in kind of the probably the worst position they could be. I think they want to be a lot higher, but I think coming into this year, Jaden Quaitons was probably you would look at him as a top five potential guy, right? I think he can be one of the best players in this draft. When you watch him play, he looks like ginormous. Like he doesn't look like a 6'10" or a 6'9". Like he looks closer to 7 foot. So, and all he needs to do, again, we said it before, I said it before about when you get drafted into a situation where it's simple. I think that's the best recipe for. All he has to do is go out and finish a play. Um, Go out and catch a lob, play good defense, and pray that he stays healthy. Because I think the Bulls here, I've always kind of had them. They're kind of entering this kind of retool, rebuild thingy. I want them to take a swing here because you finally gotten a pick. You finally can get some talent, go for a swing, and I really like the Jaden Quaintance pick. So with the 10th pick, now I just want to ask you a quick question before I make my decision. Are we in the universe where Giannis stays, or are we in the universe where Giannis leaves?
I don't really want. I. Wow,
It's
great
okay.
question. Look, for the purposes of this video, let's assume that he's still on the roster
Okay.
because I did the same thing with the Jazz, and I assumed that Kessler was still on the roster.
So for me, I think the Bucks. I've watched a lot of Bucks games, and the Bucks are they're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. I think they're second. And for me, I don't think offense has ever been a concern. I think they found something good in Jang. I think they found something good in Rollins. I think Cam Thomas, I don't know if he's going to be on the roster. Also, he might not have a team that wants him other than the Bucks. So I want a guy who's going to do it all. And I actually credited you in my mock for bringing this pick up. But I'm going to go Yaxel Lenenberg out of Michigan to the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, the reason why I brought up that he's not a good shooter is that the Bucks are a great shooting team. Is that you can afford to bring in a guy who he can shoot. He's just not the best shooter. But you've got a guy who's a physical defender, can guard pretty much 1 through 5, has a high motor. He's very like gritty. He's a gritty rebounder. He's a gritty defender. He wants to dunk on you. He's not very like he doesn't really care. And I think the Bucks need some of that next to Giannis. They need a guy who's gonna like I want to defend. You know what I mean? I need to close this possession. I need to grab the rebound and I need to give it to Giannis and I need to go. You know, so I think if you plan on contending, it's also good to take a guy whose game is pretty much. I don't think there's more development necessarily to have. Obviously, development isn't linear, so I'm not gonna say he can't. But I think you get a guy who's gonna. I think it's the saying is like, um, good at all, master of none, something like a jack of all trades type of guy, where he's not excelling in anywhere, but he's just gonna do plug us. He doesn't fix all the Milwaukee Bucks problems, but he's gonna plug some holes that they have in certain lineups, and I think like you can play him next to Giannis. You can, and then you have Miles Turner who can spread the floor, AJ Green and a Rollins. So I really like this pick, and again, I credit you for bringing this up to me.
So, for the Bucks pick, I didn't have Vandenberg. I had them taking CNEC Jr. Chris CNEC Jr. I think he could be a great development project behind Giannis.
Hmm.
Yeah, but with Vandenberg, I I comped him to uh Okongwu. I think his ability to play both power forward and center, slightly undersized center, is really cool. And then the other one that I have has low end comp. If he can't play center, I think Kyle Anderson could be a good little comp for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in my mind, you want to maximize Giannis's window, and I think if you just, I like the Stanak as like a profile of player, kind of around Giannis. Um, I got to argue that Ujman Jiang and Chris Stanak Jr. are quite similar, not defensively but offensively. Um, but I think they just need a surefire guy who's just gonna do little things around the edges to help winning and get some grit on this team. Get someone who's, yeah, I think there's nothing more to be said. I went with more, let's go get someone who's going to help us next year. But I like the
Yeah,
snack
a
shout.
more win now player. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the 11th pick, the Portland Trailblazers, I'll leave it to you.
Okay, the Blazers, for this one, I think if you run through their lineup, I do just want to take you quickly through their lineup. And the one you have, um, Damian Lillard is coming back next season. And the two you have Drew Holiday, a great piece alongside Lillard, right? Just being able to be a secondary ball handler and be the POA guy on defense. And the three, let's go through it later. But at the four, you have Denny Afdia, and at the five, you have Donovan Clingan. So again, just like the Nets, just like the Jazz, I think they have this gaping hole at the three. Jeremy Grant, great player, don't get me wrong, but he's not going to be the future of this Blazers team. And to be fair, neither is um Dame or Drew, but I just think uh Jeremy's probably gone after next season. I'm not gonna lie. Uh and so I think there's just that gaping uh gap at the three. And I think um I've I've got them taking Braylon Mullins. I think he's the best shooter in the draft flat out. I think he's just gonna be a great complement to Drew and Dame, and Danny just letting them play make for him, and then him as a play finisher on defense. His tape is really, really good. I think it's translatable. I think it's scalable. Um, I comped him to Derek White if he starts to add those little bits and pieces, the playmaking, the connective playmaking, and then the defense if it comes along. I think he'll come into the league as with Derek White's defense. But on offense, I see him as more of a Bogdan Bogdanovic kind of player, just being a play finisher, and then yeah, just a win now kind of player. And I think he could be a guy that um just fits perfectly. I think this is probably my perfect fit thus far. I think yeah, Braden Mullins to the Blazers.
Yeah, no, I really, really like this pick. I had in a bunch of my earlier mock drafts, I had this mock, and I think the Blazers need shooting. I think getting the best shooter in the draft, who I know there were some defensive concerns. I've seen some people have defensive concerns. I think it's I think he's fine. I think when you're that good of a shooter, all you need to be is fine. So even if he doesn't come into, say he comes into next season and he's just an average defender, I think he's shooting 38, but he's also 38% for three, but I think he's shooting a lot of attempts. So again, you scale that down, he gets 5 to 6 shots a night. I think he can easily make 2.5 to 3 of them. That might be quite a high projection, but yeah, I love this pick. Can play like alongside all of the. You could put him next to Dame. You could put him next to Drew. You could even put him at the 3, 6'6". So I really, 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 really like this pick. The next pick we have the Golden State Warriors, who were fighting for a playing spot, and now they're not. So this one is very confusing. This is the highest I've ever had them in any of the mock drafts I've done. Usually I have them taking Chris Sinak. Obviously, this is different now, so because they're a lot higher. So I could see them going LeBaron Phylon purely just off of Steph Curry isn't going to be around forever. Eventually, you're going to have to look for someone. Or I could see him going a Hans Steinbach, who is probably the best rebounder in this draft. He's someone who's above 6'10", which automatically puts him as basically a giant on this any Warriors roster, because they just don't like. I mean, there's Kristaps Porzingis, but they don't like employing tall people.
He's got 8.
Pardon?
He's got 8. So yeah,
That's true. um. So I think if I'm going into next season and I know I want to compete with Steph Curry, I don't know what the deal is with Porzingis. I'm not going to speculate if he has AIDS. He might. We know Jimmy's probably not going to be back until a couple months into the season. Draymond, if I see another Draymond at the 5 moment, I'm going to lose it, because it doesn't work as well as it did anymore. I think there is some shout to go Phylon, and understandably, but I'm quite high on Steinbach. I'm going to go Hans Steinbach here. I think he feels a need if you want to compete. I think he's got great touch around the rim. I don't think there's an outside shot, but he is willing to shoot, which is a good indicator that he has confidence in his shot, which can translate. I think he averages the most offensive rebounds in college basketball right now. And I think you need to get someone on this roster who, he might not be the best at rim protector, Hans Steinbach, but he's a big, ginormous body, which is what you need, who's going to be a screener for Steph Curry. He's going to be a good roller for Steph Curry, and he's going to get you extra possessions through his rebounding. And he's going to be able to finish defensive possessions purely just off his rebounding. So I draft more that they're going to, in this draft, we've kept everyone. So Steph Curry, we're not going to look for the future past him. We're going to look for these next 1 to 2 years with him. And I like this pick a lot.
yeah. Steinbach's a really good fit. Yeah, I just want to throw this out there. I think they might take Nate Ament. I think Nate
Yeah.
Ament could be their project of what they wanted to start with Kuminga. I think it could finish with Nate Ament. Now, obviously, I think fit comes into play here, because you want to compete with Steph, and I think you do need to take the best center on the board, and it's probably going to be Steinbach. Not the greatest defender, I will admit, but I do think Draymond just covers for quite a bit of that. Yeah, a pretty good help defender, a pretty good rebounder. And yeah, I think if we run through the lineup, you've got Steph, you've got Moses Moody, you've got Jimmy, you've got Draymond, and you've got Steinbach. I think that's a really, really nice fit.
And even if there is a world where there's a Porzingis comes back, having Hans Steinbach and a Quinton Post, who are both two very, very tall human beings, to come off the bench with two very different skill sets. I think, again, Steve Kerr has shown a willingness to play rookies. And I think he's got just a skill set that's going to translate quite easily. So I think there is an avenue for playing time, and I think you get a guy's skill set's just going to help you contribute to winning and just be kind of a steady piece. You're not asking too much of him. You know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely, yeah.
the 13th pick went the wrong way. Hello. 13th pick, the Charlotte Hornets select. I'll leave it to you.
So this one is something that I've discussed with my friend who supports the Hornets. And the both of us came to a consensus. We did agree on our first try. It's Koa Pete. I think if you run through the Hornets lineup right now, right, you've got Lamedo at the one, you've got Canepo at the two, you've got Brandon Miller at the three. Those are the core foundational pieces. You've got Kalkbrenner or Musa Diabete at the five. It's just lacking that four. It's just lacking that four. And Miles Bridges, okay, he's a decent player, but if you're looking towards the future, imagine that starting five, you plot Core Pete in, just um such a big presence over there, and then you have his interior scoring with Canepo's outside shooting, and I think that's just a recipe for success.
Yes.
Yeah, and then for my comps, I have him comped to Zebo uh as his higher end comp, and I think his median range of outcome is going to be Carlos Boozer.
Yeah, I
So yeah,
like that.
it's just a perfect fit all around on the Hornets.
Yeah, I said in my mocks, the first mock I posted was, I don't think if you're the Hornets front office, you're not looking at Miles Bridges as in 2 years he's going to be the starting power forward in our first playoff game. You know what I mean? Like, I think Koa Pete is such a good defender, such a good rebounder, and he's essentially the best player on the best team in the country. Which, when I did the draft, I like to mention that the Hornets kind of have this new philosophy when drafting, which is we're going to draft players. I know it sounds simple in essence, but who are good at basketball, regardless of maybe deficiencies or talents. So they took Knipple at 4, who wasn't, I don't think he was going to go as high as 4. Was it 4 or am I losing it? It was 4, right?
Yeah, four.
It was 4, yeah. When some might not have had him that high, but it turns out he's one of the best. He's probably the second, some argue the best. So I think you take someone who's good at basketball. I don't think a shot is around the corner. I think mechanically it's off. I explained it in my video, but it's kind of hard to explain. He kind of like brings it up and then just kind of like really far out in front of himself and just like kind of pushes. And so I think they can develop a jump shot. I'm never going to rule anyone out from developing a jump shot because the NBA is so smart and so many good coaches that, but I think you just, like, again, you said you slot him into that lineup, and that lineup's like athletic and fun, and yeah, I love it. That's why I was so excited when you said it, because I was like, I love this.
Yeah,
So
and my friend who supports the Hornets, he's absolutely elated with it.
yeah, I couldn't agree with both of you more. So the 14th pick, the San Antonio Spurs. Now, I think there are a couple things you can go with here. I think in my mock draft, I think Thomas Haug. I don't think I'm going to go that way today, purely just because a couple names are still on the board that I like. I think the Spurs, kind of their hole in the, if we want to go purely off fit in lineup, is who's going to be the guy next to Wemby? Who's in the front court? Sorry. You've got Castle. You've got your guards. I'm not going to draft the guard. You've got Harper, Fox, Castle. I think you take someone who's slid a little bit, maybe on most people's boards, and I'm going to go Nate Ament with this pick. Now, I will not sit here and lie to you and say I've watched a lot of Nate Ament. He's probably one of the prospects I've watched the least amount on, but with such a big, like, he's 6'10", he's quite lanky. There is a lot of potential to be had there. And if I trust a franchise to get the most out of potential out of a player, it'd be the San Antonio Spurs. where he goes to a situation, he doesn't have to do anything, he can just develop. And a wing lineup of Carter Bryant and Nate Ahmed that's kind of scary, especially that's a tall lineup. If you go Fox, who's 6'2", Castle, who's 6'4", then you go 6'7" Carter Bryant, 6'10" Nate Ahmed, and then 7'4" Wemby. They're all long, athletic, and I think that's just. I'll let you take the floor because I know you've watched more than I have. So, yeah, you let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, so with immense, right? I think it's let's just go through the comp for this one. I think if I his high end comp for me is Lowry Market. I think with the shot making, if it comes along, I don't think he will be a plus playmaker. I think he will be a good rebounder if it all comes together. And so I think I've gone with Larry Markin just off his shooting, his shot making ability. I think that's his high end comp. His low end comp. I've seen this on quite a few people's mocks and draft boards. I think his low end comp is Risache.
Okay. All right. Shall we?
Yeah, and just one more thing, yeah. I comped not I comped, in my original draft, I actually had the Spurs taking Steinbrück
Yeah, I think I had that in my last mock draft
for the
too.
same reason, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to fill the gap at 4 and add some size into the line.
Yeah, I think this is I think Nate Ahmed's one of those guys who's just kind of gotten better over this year. And I think he's gotten more comfortable. And I think you fill a lineup, and I think the Spurs are in a position where they can take a swing on an upside kind of guy. I think Nate Ahmed's has a lot of potential, probably one of the highest potentials in this draft. I've seen some people say Kevin Durant. I don't agree with that, but when you see a 6'10" wing who can shoot the ball, that's immediately who you go to. So, I think best case scenario is I really like the Larry Markkinen pick, and yeah, I think they can afford to go for a guy who's going to play spot minutes in his first year and let him develop into his body. I think he's still quite thin, and then develop into a skill set more. So with the
Right.
fifth, sorry.
Yeah, so with the 15th pick, I've the OKC Thunder, they've got back-to-back picks over here. So, for the first pick for them, I've actually gone with Thomas Haug. I think is just a really, really good plug and play player. And for plug and play player, it's just a win now player who can slot seamlessly into any lineup. And yeah, it's just a winning player. He plays with such a high motor. I think I yeah, the thing I'm impressed the most about him is just his versatility and his motor. I think those two are just really translatable and scalable. Um, skill sets that he'll have at the next level. Yeah, Donald's help for me. For the OKC Thunder's 15th pick.
Yeah, one thing that really kind of stands out when you watch Thomas Howard is that he never stops moving, especially on offense. He will run, kick out, run around, and then you'll see like a man's on a post up and he'll immediately cut. And I think when you have a player who has the maturity to make these kinds of reads and has the motor to want to cut, and he loves, like, in all these like film I've watched, he's just always like contesting a rebound. And the Thunder are going to lose some guys this offseason. They might keep Hartenstein, but they're probably going to lose Dort. Kendrick Williams probably doesn't play. You want to get a guy on a rookie contract who is going to do all little things, and you're not going to have to ask him. I know he's growing this year as a scorer, but you're not expecting him at the next level to be a scorer. So I really, 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 really love this pick.
Yeah, so for Hulk, if I could run through
Yep.
really quickly, my comp for him is PJ Washington and Chandler Parsons. I think he will land probably closer to PJ, but yeah,
I like it.
those are my comps for him.
Now, with the 16, they have back-to-back picks here. So I think I could go somewhere where you take a LeBaron Philon purely because he's one of these guys who's fallen and you can take a swing on the talent. You've got enough guards where it doesn't matter if you don't. You could go a Braden Burries, who has proven he's more of a connective to on a great team, who's a good, both of them are good shooters. LeBaron Philon, I say, is like one of the more steady point guards and probably the steadiest, maybe not the steadiest, but one of the steadiest point guards in this draft. I think he's one of the best point guards in this draft. I think he's just kind of been faded down. But I think in this world, Hartenstein comes back. So I don't think you take a reach on Ngongba. I don't think you take a reach on Mara. I don't think there's any guy. I don't think you take a reach on Morez Johnson, even though that would be really, really fun. I say,
If there's a reach, if there's a reach that I like them to take over here, it's for Dalen Swain. I think he's been rising through those draft boards really, really quickly. And to be honest with you, I've actually thought about it. His rise actually reminds me of Jalen Williams, J-Dub, back when he was being drafted. I don't think they started off
yeah,
as second round as first round picks even. I think they just shot up as the season progressed, and for J-Dub's case in the combine, uh not the combine, the combine season, right? And yeah, I think um yeah, and that's also my comp for him. I think he'll, if the shot comes along, it's J-Dub. If the shot doesn't come along, it's Herb Jones. I think it's just such a big swing skill set with him. Yeah.
yeah. I think you convinced me. You sold me straight away. I think Dalen Swain's one of those guys who, when you originally look at him, you think at the next level he's going to be like you want to mold him into a 3-and-D because he's a bigger guy, he's tall, and he has shown some promise shooting. But this guy has just suddenly become one of the best ISO scorers. Somehow he keeps scoring. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like you don't even expect it, and he do it. I think he has one of the highest points per possessions, like maybe even higher than Boozer and some other guys. So I really like the Jalen Williams shout. Guys who are going to come in and be these long rangey wings who can attack a closeout, can I've just lost my words, can shoot, can beat you to the three, and he's also defensively an amazing player. And I think if you lose Dort and you get Thomas Howard and Dalen Swain, that draft is like, that's a really, really fun draft. So, yeah.
And the Thunder are now in the win now mode. So I think them taking on two older prospects but more win now prospects are I think that's something that they'll probably do.
Absolutely. So, the Grizzlies are up with their second pick. I will hand it over to you, the 17th overall pick.
Right. So with the 17th pick in the draft, I have the Grizzlies. I originally had them selecting Nate Amends. And so I think since I picked Swain in the previous one, I think you can take the reins for this one.
The Memphis Grizzlies, I think if I'm them, I want to continue getting athleticism and dynamic players. You got Cedric Coward, you've got Jalen Wells, you've got Gigi Jackson, you've got these kind of fun, athletic young players. So let's take a guy who fits a skill set is athletic, and let me just make sure there's no names that I'm missing down here. No, there's none. We're gonna take Cameron Carr. I think that is probably the highest anyone's ever taken Cameron Carr in a mock. And you might not agree with the pick, but I like to keep things fun and let's switch things up and let's take guys who this guy dunks everything. He's leading, I think he's the leading guard in dunks. Well, he might be leading the entire college in dunks. He has very translatable skills. He's uber athletic. He's defensive, and he's got a good 3-point shot. So at the worst, you're getting a guy who can be this kind of 3-and-D, athletic 3-and-D guy, right? And I think at its best is you've got a guy who is a POA guy, 3-and-D. I'm actually really interested to see if you have comps for him, but I want to go different, and I actually quite like. I think I'm falling in love with this pick a little bit.
Okay, so with Cam Carr, I think my low end comp for him was Ochai Agbaji with shooting. And I really don't think that's a bad player. I think that's his not really low end range of outcome actually. Now that you've added shoot into it, I think he's a more willing shooter than Agbaji, and I think that yeah, it's just a really nice plug and play system alongside Akoff, right, for him to kick the ball out to. Just always open, finds himself open. Yeah, Cam Carr alongside Darius Akoff. I think that's a really, really nice little two-man duo over there.
Yeah, let's get to the Miami Heat, and I will leave it to you.
Right, so the Miami Heat, we've got Braden Burries on the board. I think they will take Braden Burries. Yeah, I do think they need another guard alongside Tyler Hero. And I think Braden Burries, with his ability to defend and defend at a high level, I think just and then play off another player. I think both him and Tyler Hero, they can play off each other. Then I don't think there will be a hypothetically, I don't think there will be sort of one option one and option two. I think it will be a more 1A 1B kind of system, where both guys get to handle the ball, both guys are good spot up shooters. I think Braden Burries to the Heat, and I think that's a really nice call alongside Mr. 83 points.
Oh my gosh, bro. That was I woke up and he had 34 in like 12 minutes. I was like, what is going on? When I describe Braden Burries, I think he's just such a good connective piece. And I think when you're a team in this range, sometimes that can be the best thing you can find, is that he can play next to a hero. He's a he's a good defender. He's a good connective guy. He's a good shooter, you know. And I think if you're a team like the Miami Heat, you have you have things there, right? You have Aware, you have Jacques Jonas who's getting more minutes. You've got Hero, you've got Adebayo, obviously, and being able to having the optionalities that he can. I wouldn't say he can initiate, but he can score for himself, and also be able to play next to Hero. I think it's just an easy pick. He's becoming the best player on the best team. I think, again, you have to kind of take that into account. Yeah, I really like this pick. So, with the 19th pick, the Toronto Raptors. Now, I think I'm going to take final off. Yo.
we've got 5 minutes left. I think we have to do the third one. Yeah, we have to rush through the last 12
Okay.
pick in the
We'll
last
do.
one.
I reckon we can get through. Do you want to do one more?
Nah, we'll do it all later since I cut you off.
You sure? I'm happy to go quick here.
All right, go ahead.
So with the 19th pick, the Toronto Raptors, I'm gonna take LeBron Fallon off the board here. I think he's kind of unlucky to fade this far. I think he's a great player. I think he's a very steady point guard. I don't know how long. I know you kind of had these two you've got a point forward in Scotty Barnes. LeBron Fallon's a good shooter. He's a good playmaker. I think, one, you take the talent that's fallen down. And two, I don't know if Emmanuel Quickley is your point guard for the future next to Scotty Barnes. So you get a guy who's got a bit of like grit in him. He's the clip where the big gets switched on him and he's like, he kind of gets in his groove. I like that. Like, I like that, like, intensity. Like he wants the matchup. And I think they take the talent. I think you're happy that he fell to you. You can run him at the 2 or the 1. I think he's more suited to the 1. And I think he can play well alongside Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, so with Phylan, I think obviously the Raptors, I don't think they're gonna build around quickly as their point guard of the future, and so they probably need someone in. Phylan's able to play off ball a bit as well, so that um helps a lot alongside a non-shooter like Scotty Barnes. And yeah, I think I've comped him to Brandon Roy. And a more recent comp for him probably will be Malik Monk, with a bit more playmaking juice.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, I think it's a very solid pick. I think he works really well with Scotty Barnes as a kind of microwave scorer who can also be a bit of a initiator. And I think defensively he's no slouch. So I like this pick a lot. Alrighty, I think with the 20th pick, I think it is your turn.
Right. So, the Hornets over here, uh, I don't think they really have a lot of needs, but I do think the bench lacks a ball handler. Um, I mean, they traded for Kobe White, just don't know whether they're gonna extend him, especially to the contract that he wants as a sixth man. How much are you gonna pay Kobe White? And so I think I've just got uh I've just got them taking advantage of a really deep draft class and them going with Christian Anderson Jr. from Texas Tech. I think I've comped him over here to Dennis Schroeder with better 3-point shooting. I think he's just got uh again, reminds me a bit of Akoff in the sense that they're really kind of shifty, kind of point guards. Michael Brown as well, and even Flemings. I think they're just really shifty. Their handling is great. And yeah, I think um Christian Anderson Jr. just leading the bench unit for the Hornets into the future. I think that's a really nice little pick over there. And then if LaMelo, anything happens to him, just steps up and then slots seamlessly into the point guard spot as well at the starting unit. So yeah, all around great fit, great player. What's there not to love?
I think you literally said everything I was going to say. I think he's one of the best players college-wise in the country. And I think you fill a need, you get a talent. He's going to be able to play make. He can play with the starting lineup. He can play with the bench guys. It's just another weapon for Charles Lee and the Hornets to kind of use. And I think they're really on their way to I don't want to say contention because obviously things can happen, but to being a really good, exciting team. And I think you added Koa Pete, which fills a need. You take another need plus talent pick. I don't think there's anything more to say here, really. So with pick 21, the Denver Nuggets. They just signed Tyus Jones. There's a need for a backup guard here. I'm gonna go Bennett Sturts to the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
And I think Bennett Sturts. Pardon?
Go ahead. I was just about to say I've got him drafted there as well.
Yeah, I think this is one of those. In most of my mocks, I have Christian Anderson to the Nuggets, but Bennett Sturts equally. I don't want to say just as good, but I think will be probably one of the steadiest point guards out the gate. I think they address a need. He's a great shooter, great playmaker. He's kind of just by himself on this Iowa team. I think he could play in Jokic lineups. I think he's tall, so he's not going to be a kind of, he's not going to be a liability height-wise in a lineup, because obviously height, can lead to defensive problems, yada, yada, yada. I think he's also probably the best currently available player. I don't think he's going to have the highest ceiling out of everyone. He's a lot older. Obviously, age doesn't equate to how good a player is going to be in the future, but I think you take Bennett Sturts. I think it's a great fit, and I would be really annoyed if this happened in real life because I don't like the Nuggets.
Yeah, I think for Sturts, I think a hot take that I have, I think, is that he's the best pure passer amongst all the first round draft picks. Now, passing isn't really something you need around Jokic, but in those non-Jokic teams, in those non-Jokic lineups, you can see that there's a lack of playmaking in there. Jamal Murray, great player. I don't think he's a natural playmaker. So having Sturts over there just to balance out, just to set the table for Jamal and the other Nuggets players, I think that could be a really nice combo.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. So I pass it back to you with probably one of the more sneakier moves, getting this pick by the Detroit Pistons, and I'll let you take it away.
Right, so for the Pistons, I have them taking Isaiah Evans over here. I think what they lack is a secondary ball handler. But I don't think they're gonna drop Duncan Robinson because of the spacing he provides around Kate. And so I think they need just because Dennis Jenkins ever since he's signed that um standard contract, I don't think he's been playing really well. So I do think you kind of still have to develop him, but you do want insurance. And I think Isaiah Evans just fits in perfectly as the backup ball handler, and Kate doesn't need to take so many minutes going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's also a good kind of player to 3-and-D that they have. I think you're in desperate need for some shooting, so I think you get a guy who has size and has a shot. I don't think he's shooting 34.5% from three this season, which is NBA average, would mean he's a good shooter. But I think you're looking for, let's try not to have this insane load on Cade. Pause. Let's take some of the stress on him while also spreading the floor, because we have a non-shooter in Duran, we have a non-shooter in Thompson. Let's get a guy who's going to fit the system and take some stress off our guys. I really, 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 really love this pick.
Right. I just want to quickly go through my comp over here for
Absolutely.
Isaiah Evans. I've comped him to Isaiah Joe as my and then I don't really have a high end comp. I don't really have a low end comp, but you can kind of see what I'm going with Isaiah Joe and Sam Merrill, and then I think he has he's just got maybe um a bit more ball handling upside. So maybe he can replicate the role of Luke Kennard on what he's doing with these Lakers lineups. I think just being a secondary ball handler, I think that's something that he can eventually grow into. Yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. The 23rd pick, the Atlanta Hawks. So with the 6th pick, I had them taking Markel Brown Jr. I think I'm going to go here. I'm going to go Patrick Ngongba. I think you take more of the traditional center play. He's athletic. He's got some touch around the rim. Really, you're not looking at him to do much. I just kind of want a different profile to Onyeka Okongwu. And he's a big center. He's athletic. You bring him in, you want him to catch lobs and you want him to defend the rim and be like an athletic rim runner is all you're asking from him in these first couple of seasons at least. And he has a good enough touch where he can be maybe in, a short pocket pass to a little float or something like that. Um, Gets you a different profile again. I like lineup versatility. He could play next to a Jalen Johnson, and then you could put it in Yeko Kongwu in and go 5 out. And I just really like the kind of getting more a traditional guy when you have such kind of a different prospect in a Kongwu. And I think Duke prospects, bigs do this all the time where they kind of spawn in with a 3-point shot. They like take a lot of threes, and then at the combine they're shooting threes, and then they kind of never take them in real NBA minutes. We saw like Zach Edey and Kamam Maliwak try to do that. I think this is the kind of same process with him. I don't think he's going to take a lot of threes to the next level. The fact that he's taking some is, I guess, a plus, but I really like this pick.
I think again, I think he's just a really, really safe floor kind of player. And moving forward, you've got Jalen Johnson. He's probably going to win. I want to win sooner rather than later. So I think having such a safe floor kind of pick is probably what the Hawks should do. Yeah.
Do you have any comps for him?
Right. My comp for him is actually because I don't think he's someone um that uh that's going to be able to grow into a star player, but I do think he's a bit more of a role player kind of player. But um yeah, I think in his rookie season he'll probably look something like what Dylan Cardwell is doing on the Kings now. So I think that's probably gonna be his floor. For his ceiling, maybe a less athletic um less athletic Derek Lively.
Yeah.
I think that could be a good ceiling comp for him, and then I think his median range of outcome probably slightly better than Thomas Bryant. Yeah,
I like it. I
maybe
like it.
Jay Hoff kind of player.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah,
that 3-point shot comes around. I
solid
could see
pick.
it. Well, you have as the Laker fan, it's only right that you take
Well, I mean, you're a
the.
Laker fan too,
Well,
so
I am a Laker fan too,
yeah.
but 24th pick, take it away.
Right. So I do know that for one thing, you are a big fan of Morris Johnson Jr. to the Lakers. I do love Morris just being such a switchable defender. I think that's a really, really good pick. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you have Montijuice Clivas. I think just right. I think I've read an article somewhere that Walker Kessler was Lucas uh ideal running mate, right? As his lob threat, rim protecting five. And I think yeah, that's what Krivas is probably the closest thing you can get to Kessler if the Jazz are not going to trade Kessler or let him go in free agency. I think um Kessler just comes in. Um, one defining thing about Kessler, which I don't think which is really helpful, is that I don't think he's going to get played off the floor, like how Lively and Gafford were in the Mavs against Celtics finals. I think he's capable of putting the ball on the floor a little bit more, and I think the same can be applied to Montes Krivas. I think Krivas is just such a big body, and then his take for Arizona is wild. I absolutely love the pick. Montes Krivas, uh, welcome to the Lakers, I suppose.
No, see, as much as I'm a big Morris Johnson Jr. guy, I love Krivas as well. I mean, I think he has like an insane block rate. Like, I think it's like, I don't know if it's record high, but like I think it's like pretty insane. I don't know the exact number, but this fills a need. I think the Lakers, even in the Anthony Davis days, had a screaming, burning desire to get a true center. I think it's one of those roles. We went from this 5 out, we want everyone on the floor to shoot, to you've seen it around the league where the traditional center is arguably the most important. You know, you have a Houston Rocket teams that has two of them in Steven Adams and Capella, and you have Jared Allen, who's more of a traditional center. You have, these guys who the role of just rebounding, finishing a play, and defending the rim has such a vital skill for a team that's trying to win. And I love this pick. He's a ginormous human, and he's gonna love life next to Luka, and I think the Lakers are gonna love him. And I can't say anything more about that pick. That is I think perfect. So I think here with the 25th pick is where I'm going to take Morez Johnson Jr. off the board. I think he probably is going to rise before the draft. I could see him going in the 12 to 19 range by the end. He's just so switchable, so good defensively. He's a very low volume 3-point shooter, so I don't know if that's going to project well to the next level. He's probably my favorite guy in the draft. And I think you get a guy who's more, I'm actually making a video, spoilers, on the Milwaukee Bucks and their drafting history, and how, you can find guys if you can find someone through the draft on a rookie contract, how much that it helps you in winning, or how that can be like a little tool to make more to have talent on your roster to help you win, essentially. And if you look at the Knicks, and they have two big lanky wing defenders in Diawara and Morez Johnson, and I'm happy they've played Diawara because they've shown willingness to play a rookie, which something you and I don't really understand as Lakers fans. You get another one of these super high motor, energetic, big man, switchable, defensive minded, on a good Knicks team who have the offense in Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns and these other guys, and they just get more deep in the wing positions and more deep defensively. I think it's an easy pick.
Yeah, so let me just run through my comps real quick.
Absolutely.
I've got Morris comped to Robert Williams and Beef Stew. I think it's just those type of small ball fives. They can play the four and are really, really good defensively, really, really good block rate, stuff like that. Yeah, I think Morris Johnson Jr. will be a good fit on the Knicks.
So the 26th pick is now the Philadelphia 76ers. Shout out Jared McCain. And I leave it to you.
Right, so originally I had the Sixers taking Morris Johnson Jr. So right now, I think the glaring need is obviously at power forward. I think the four is something that they really, really lack. And over here I have them taking Kareem Lopez from New Zealand. I think Kareem Lopez is someone that is really high motor as well, someone that can defend and hit the three. Yeah, it's just a really, really solid role player at the next level. Could he become a star? maybe not, but like yeah, just a really really solid base to build around um Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe moving forward. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys
and then
that's
like
kind of good at everything. You know what I mean? Like he's solid at everything. I'm actually I'm sorry I interrupt you. I'm really interested to see your comp for him or to hear your comp from him.
yeah. So my comp for him is Tumani Kamara for his defense, and then John Collins for his ability to just spot up and hit a three out of nowhere. Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think they're in. I think the Sixers are in one of the most interesting positions because they're kind of fake roster wise. They look like they're trying to contend, but play wise they're not. So they're in a very weird spot here to try and figure out how they're gonna, you know, balance the two. So I really like this pick because I think he's win now. I think he has potential to be win now and also potential to be very good later. So the 27th pick, the Boston Celtics select. Now, this is again another guy who I love, and I think you know who I'm going to say. We're going to go Ade Mara to the Boston Celtics. This is, I think, another guy who's going to fly up the draft boards. Ginormous human being. He's got great touch around the rim. He's got just a great passer, especially out of a post up. He's able to find guys. He's a smart basketball player. He's a good rim protector. He's one of those guys who I just feel like is a Celtics player where he's just very like, I feel like Celtics draft players who are good all across the board and then they're able to develop all those aspects so much more. And I feel like they have this young core while contending that is arguably one of like not one of the best, but like really, really exciting that you can look at. If they have Ade Mara, they have, I don't know if you want to include Ron Harper Jr., but he was playing real minutes. They have Jordan Walsh. They have Hugo Gonzalez. So you've got these kind of two super defensive lanky wings, physical defensive wings. Then you get a guy in Ade Mara who could probably play minutes next season and is probably going to be good next season as a rookie. I don't think there's an outside shot. So he's probably more of a true center. But with the passing touch, I think their offense becomes so much more dynamic. And again, I said this in my mock, I'd be very annoyed if they got Mara because I think he's just, I don't know, he just screams like a Celtic type of player to me.
Yeah, and on that Celtic type of player bit, right? I just want to touch on it because in the last draft with the 44th pick, guess who they took? They took Amari Williams. That's a passing big that can defend. And then I think Ademar, what's slightly different with him is that he can put the ball on the floor and he can score and he can create his own shot to a certain extent, and then just he won't be able to. You can't seal him out of lineups, basically. Yeah. So I think Ademar is probably the upgraded version of Amari Williams, and then yeah, like you said, with the bench unit, we run Ron Harper Jr. and then you run Hugo, you run Jordan Walsh, and then you run catch and shoot guy like Baylor Scheiman. Yeah, so you have those five as a bench unit. I'm moved by it. Yeah, I'm moved by it.
I'm moved by it as well. Well, I pass it back to you now. 28th pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Right. Before we go through that, I forgot to go through my comps for
Yes, of
Mara.
course, yes.
For Mara, I think this season, he's been. I don't know if you've watched much of him this season, but Donovan Clinton, I think he's been aside from the rim protector stuff, I think he's been actually throwing dimes this season. I think.
Yeah.
Just go and watch some tape on him. I think he's just developed so much playmaking, and then obviously being able to hit a three. I think with all that development in mind, I think Clinton could easily be a top three center in the NBA going forward, which I know is a big statement, but
No, I
yeah, I
agree.
think Clinton I think Klingon could be a good comp for him. Uh, Current one, but then if we're gonna go with a bit more traditional comp, I would say Mark Gasol. Mark
Yeah,
Gasol, type of player, just being able to pass every high level, being able to play make, being able to be the offensive hub, and then at the same time just being such a great dominant defender.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'll let you take the floor again with the last pick in the draft.
Right. So with the Timberwolves, we have I was actually debating this one because I do think they need a guard. They need a two guard alongside and they probably need a pure point guard. Now with Sturds off the board, what do you do? Yeah. So I've actually split this into a sort of two-pronged approach. I think over here they take the best player available, and that's probably going to be Chris Sinat Jr. I think he's yeah, I think this is where he stops his slide. I don't think he's a second round player at all. And so I think the Timberwolves will take Sinat Jr. I think Julius Randle is definitely not a long-term building block. And I think Sinat Jr. just fits in right beside Gobert and um, Jalen McDaniels at the three. And then the second part of this approach is I think they do need a pass first point guard, someone that can set the table. And I think they could be looking at the best passer in the entire draft in the second round. And I think um, this guy, he's got the potential to thrive in Minnesota he because of the length and the rangy defenders and the athleticism around him. I think they might take a chance on Braden Smith of Purdue. I think yeah, so that's the two-pronged approach. You draft Braden Smith in the second round. But yeah, over here you draft Christian Jr. At 28. You definitely do not reach for Braden Smith at 28 for sure. But Christian Jr. that's where he stops his line. I have him comped to Jabari Smith Jr. and Kalel Wari. I think he'll be that kind of player who's able to who takes a lot of his shots away from the basket for the Jabari comp, and then for the Kalel comp is just being able to do a bit of everything, right? Being able to catch lobs, being able to spot up, being able to run pick and pop, pick and roll with again Braden Smith. So yeah, I think that's a really nice comp.
I think he's also quite an underrated defensive guy too. Um, I think there is definitely a lot of upside there. But I really like this pick. I agree. I don't think he's a second round talent. I think if he fell to the Timberwolves, you take him because that's just another kind of dynamic big wing who can shoot, which is shoot and defend, which is when come playoff time, guys who can do that, especially at his size with his defensive capabilities, like that's a very valuable asset to have. I think you get the perfect mix of talent and just what the board has given you. So I really like this pick. So the Cavaliers are at 29. Now, in my last draft, I want to do a little reach for Alan Graves. They could have a need for maybe a backup guard, but I think you have a lot of guard play in Ellis, Schroeder. Why I'm not sure if Schroeder's on contract till next year. He is on contract next year. Now, a lot of this depends if Yesufu declares, because I personally don't think he's going to declare. Therefore, if he doesn't declare, things get a lot different here. We could
Could they
go.
actually go with Henry Vesa kind of
I
player?
was thinking that
Yeah, like Henry Vesa
because
kind of player. You
Yeah, so you read my mind basically. I think Henry Visar's one of those guys that when you're a contending team, you sometimes just need someone to soak up some minutes. I don't think Henry Visar is gonna, you know, wow anyone with anything that he does. He's one of these traditional centers. But you need someone a big, large body to soak up some minutes. Say, let's just brainstorm here because it's 2:45 in the morning. LeBron's there next year. You don't have a lot of cap space to do a lot, right? You've got Harden, Mitchell, Mobley, Allen, Bron. So you've got a bench of a bunch of guys who probably aren't going to be on very high contracts, which means the talent might not be very, very high. You get a guy like Henry Visar who, again, we say translatable skills. All you have to do is go grab me a rebound and finish a play and defend the rim. It's someone who's big, who's going to soak up some minutes so Mobley or Allen can sit for 5. And I think just a large body you can chuck out there sometimes is sometimes all you need. He's an older prospect too. I really like this pick.
I think an underrated part of this entire thing, I think, is the Cavs might be losing Jared Allen if the roster gets a bit expensive, and I think this is a really good backup plan. I think with Mobley being a bit more switchable, I think you can throw Vesa out there together with him, and then obviously in those bench lineups together with Jaden Tyson, kind of guy covering him, his lack of mobility. I think that's a pretty nice pick for the Cavs.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to go to the last pick of the draft, and it's the Dallas Mavericks. You may take it away.
Right. So with the Mavericks, I think I think they go with a bigger way. I think they obviously Damisar could be a good player. I know he's probably a first round talent. And he was the other guy I was considering at this spot. Um but I don't think they would go for a wing. I do think they'll go for a big, and I think the big that they'll go for will be Fiori Lidunga.
I love it.
I think with Bidunga, I comped him to Capella and Clint Capella. Just someone that would just catch any lob, someone that would dunk anything in his way. And then with Cooper, you were able to see the way that he played with Kamal Maluach in college. I think Bidunga and him could have that little bit of a two-way game over there that they can replicate. And I really just love this pick. Um yeah, I think a lot of people have said that Cooper probably needs a floor spacing big, but having seen what Maluach and him came up with in college, I do think a rim protecting big is probably for the better. And then obviously Derek Lively has had his fair share of injuries, so this is a great insurance plan for him. Yeah.
Absolutely. I again said everything that I was going to say. I think it's important to have a big who's going to bring energy, and I feel like Flory Badunga is a very like energy big guy. I also think Cooper Flagg is such a smart player that, like you said, the way he works with Malawatch, I think he'll get him good looks in good spots, and you have the spacing of Keaton Wagler in this universe. I love it. For a 30th overall pick, I think you take a guy who's got some upside, who's a pretty solid player already, and I don't think there's anything else more to say.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great last pick. And then we've got a bit of time left.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say,
how about let's run through
do you want to run through
the
like
three
your
remaining players that we love
yeah?
in the second round. Yeah, on the board.
So I think a guy who's kind of unfortunate to get dropped out the first round. I personally don't have a first round mock on him. Is Tyler Tanner. He's a guy who plays so much bigger than his size, and he's so energetic. The size is a concern though. But he's one of those guys who I think an early second rounder team, maybe like a Kings or a Memphis or Kings and a Memphis. If you take a guy here like Cameron Carr, especially if you're like the Kings, like that's something fun and exciting for a team to like a fan base to grip onto. I think another guy who's flying up draft boards right now is Ibuka Okori, sorry. I think he's been having like 30 pieces all around. And I think he's going to be one of those guys where we look back and he's one of those kind of good point guards in that mid to the top to mid second rounder that I think a team will really like. I think he's got a really interesting game. And then again, in this universe, I think Yesufu isn't declaring, but I think it'd be rude not to say Dame Sarr has like definitely one of the most interesting. My fellow Italian, I think he has very interesting career path because if he does declare, he's gonna be like, I'm gonna use this. I think he's gonna be like a Max Christie where he's just gonna develop for 3-4 years. He's not offensively, he's not there yet. Defensively, he's got size and he's lanky and he's tall. Maybe not size as in width, but like he's lanky, he's tall, and he's a good defender. I just think the development will be the offensive and the shot to come around. And I think those three, so we've got Dame Sarr, Tyler Tanner, and Ibuka Okori as my three favorite guys.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go with those three.
Yeah.
Just to switch it up a little bit. For my three, I've got Malik Thomas. I think he can develop into a Quentin Grimes kind of player, sixth man, being able to be a micro scorer kind of thing. I've got Ivisic of I think Ivisic could be a really decent bench piece. I think he's somebody who can just be a big body out there, right? Being a gigantic body actually. Just that Valanciunas kind of player, yeah. And my last one, I would actually say Billy Richmond, the third. I think someone that just jumps out of the board. Just hyper athletic. I love the Lakers to draft him really and truly. I think he and Adu Thiero just jumping on the building together. Yeah, and then you have Luca and Austin feeding him. Yeah, it's just a match made in heaven. So that's my three picks.
Yeah, I'm a big Billy Richmond guy. I think the shot needs to come around a little more, but I think developmental wise, I think that's so exciting. But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up here. I think that was a lot of fun. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll drop the NBA Specialist YouTube channel down below. Make sure you guys go give him a like, give him a follow. Subscribe, sorry. I'll drop both of our X's our Twitters in the chat, in the bio too. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.